Here are the top stories for today, May 5, 2022. The country noted an increase in the inflation rate in April. Defense Secretary Lorenzana says they are not seeing any form of violence during and after elections. President Rodrigo Duterte promised to strengthen the country's healthcare system until the end of his term. And People's Television Network or PTV partners with other government networks for an integrated simulcast nationwide on Monday. Good day, I'm Marita Muaje. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The country's inflation rate or the rate of increase of the prices of goods and services rose to 4.9% in April 2022. In its report, the Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA says the figure is higher than the 4% rate of inflation for the month of March 2022. It is also within the 4.2 to 5% range projected by Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas for the month of April. PSA Undersecretary Dennis Mapa said that 3 commodity groups contributed to the high April inflation.
Ang dahilan ng mas mataas na antas ng inflation nitong Abril 2022 kumpara noong nakarang buwan ay ang mas mabilis na pagtaas ng presyo ng food and non-alcoholic beverages. Ang pangalawang commodity group na nagpakita ng mas mataas na inflation nitong Abril 2022 ay ang transport na may 13.0% inflation at 27.8% share sa pagtaas ng pangkalatang inflation sa bansa. Ang pangatlong commodity group na nagpakita ng mas mataas na antas ng inflation nitong Abril 2022 ay ang housing, water, electricity, gas and other fuels na may 6.9% inflation at 17.0% share sa pagtaas ng pangkalatang inflation sa bansa.
Meanwhile, Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Carl Kendrick Chua said the government is accelerating a comprehensive set of interventions to mitigate the impact of rising commodity prices. He said the world-class commodity prices remain high as a consequence of the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. Among these interventions are provision for fuel subsidies for PUV drivers and operators and corn farmers and fisherfolk. There are also recommendations to reduce the tariff rate for corn, to import more wheat, and produce more cassava as feeds substitute to augment the alternatives for corn. Defense Secretary Lorenzana says they are not seeing any form of violence during and after elections, but merely misunderstandings or issues between candidates. In a Laging Handa briefing, the defense chief said he supports the move to disqualify candidates who are bent on paying the New People's Army for permission to campaign and to win in the upcoming poll.
Isuplong nila sa pulis at saka sa military at saka ako kung talagang totoo yan, ay pwede naman silang samahan ng mga military na magpuntahan yung mga barangay. Kasi nangyayari lang ito, Rocky, sa mga remote areas na alam mo naman, yung remote areas na kung walang masyadong mga tao na nagpupunta doon, yun ang mga tinatarget ng mga NPA na kukutungan nila yung mga kandidato. So, all they have to do is report it to the police or the military. Tapos alam na lang military ang gagawin doon.
Lorenzana also noted that the CPP-NPA has weakened considerably. He said that the National Task Force and Local Communist Armed Conflict or NTF-LCAC is working to continuously encourage more rebels to return to the fold of the law.
Napakalaki. Kasi as of yesterday nung nag-briefing sila sa akin, yung LCAC, ay 24,000 na yung surrenderies. Yung armado at saka yung masa. Kasi iba-iba yan. Mayroong armado, mayroong masa. 24,000 na. Ito yung mga kusang bumabalik sa gobyerno. Kasama ko yung mga armado, kasama yung armas nila, yung iba naman. And the government is taking care of them. Walang binibigyan sila ng mga benepisyo. Pabahay, mga anak buhay, medical care, saka education ng mga anak nila. So humina na sila. Out of the 81 guerrilla fronts, ay na-neutralize na natin yung mga 47. So konti na lang ang
The Commission on Elections has reminded registered voters against vote buying and vote selling and issued guidelines on dealing with violators. Section 261-A of Batas Pambansa bilang 881, otherwise known as the Omnibus Election Code, penalizes acts of vote buying and vote selling as an election offense. In a memorandum issued by COMELEC Commissioner Aimee Ferolino, chairperson of Task Force Bigay, the voting public was advised about the consequences of the violation. It also directed law enforcement agencies to strictly enforce measures against vote buying and vote selling. The COMELEC also considers payment of permit to win and permit to campaign to the CPP, NPA, and DF as vote buying and vote selling. Meanwhile, the COMELEC will establish a citizen complaint center where citizens can report incidents of vote buying and vote selling. The complaints may be filed personally or through the official email addresses of the local field offices, the law department of the Commission, or the offices of the provincial, city, and municipal prosecutors. An official of the Commission on Elections is not supporting the proposal of the Department of Health to set up vaccination sites near polling centers on May 9, Election Day. COMELEC Commissioner George Garcia said they want to concentrate on the main event on that day, which is for the Filipino people to cast their votes. The poll body official noted they also do not want to create confusion on the day of the polls, nor do they want to scare those people who cannot be vaccinated. Garcia, however, clarified that he supports the government's immunization program. He also said he has yet to receive any formal communication from the Health Department on the proposal. Earlier, Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergeire said they are discussing the possibility of putting up vaccination sites near voting centers to be able to inoculate more people. Take two. Marawi City is all set for the upcoming national and local elections on Monday. The details from Claire Gighe.
The City Schools Division of Marawi is now ready for the May 9 national and local elections. Schools Division Superintendent Ana Zenaida Unte Alonto said teachers and non-teaching personnel of the division with poll duties were provided with technical assistance and have undergone a series of training for electoral boards or EBs, including a refresher course on the do's and don'ts of the May 9 polls.
Recently, they took an exam which is in partnership with COMELEC and the DOST for them to really check if they're really capable, and qualified to really stand as EBs in the coming NLE.
Alonto said a total of 450 teachers will serve as members of electoral boards and 33 will serve as supervising officials in 33 polling precincts of the city. The superintendent also disclosed that they have been instructed by the Bangsamoro Region's Education Minister to forward moral governance, considering that it will be the first time for the Bangsamoro government to participate in a national election. Meanwhile, police officers of Lanao del Sur are preparing to step in to perform election duties if there are no available teachers in the precincts during election day. Police Provincial Director Police Colonel Christopher Panapan said some police officers have been undergoing training as electoral board members after they received a letter from the Commission on Elections or COMELEC requesting special EBs from the Philippine National Police or PNP because some teachers have declined to serve during the elections. Panapan said the deployment plan that they already crafted will now change as some of the police officers included in the security deployment will act as EBs.
Your PNP and NDAFP, we can secure Lanao del Sur. But then, pagka yung personnel natin po magsaserve as electoral boards, mababakit yung saan sila nakadeploy to serve as security.
However, Panapan is optimistic that the PNP of the Bangsamoro region will provide additional forces as an augmentation to the province. Meanwhile, the provincial police director has called on the candidates and voting populace in the province to cooperate with the security forces to ensure a safe and orderly election. He emphasized that the PNP and AFP are determined to serve the election to make it as safe as possible and successful, but this would largely depend on the cooperation of the community and the candidates. For PNA Newsroom, Claire Gighe of the Philippine Information Agency, Lanao del Sur.
Still ahead, President Duterte promises to improve the country's healthcare system until he steps down. Lawmakers and other sectors laud President Duterte's order to stop e-sabong. We'll be back after a quick break. Keep it here on the PNA Newsroom.
Commander Dito Ocampo po ng Philippine Coast Guard Auxiliary para sa kumpanyang Disiplina Muna na pinangungunahan ng DILG. Bakit natin kailangan magpabakuna laban sa COVID-19? Dahil mahal mo ang iyong sarili, pamilya at bayan. Ang bakuna ang tiyak na paraan para tuluyang mapigilan ang pagkalat ng virus. May mga patunay na mababa ang porsyento ng pagkalat ng COVID-19 sa mga nabakunahan na. At matapos mabakunahan, malaki na ang tsansa na makabalik ka sa normal mong pamumuhay. Kaya tulad ko magparehistro na at magpabakuna na kontra COVID-19. Muli po, ako si Commander Dito Ocampo, Disiplina Muna Ambassador. Nagpapaalala, huwag matakot magpabakuna dahil bida ang may disiplina. Magparehistro tayo at magpabakuna para sa ligtas na pamilya, ligtas na bayan.
President Rodrigo Duterte promised to strengthen the country's healthcare system until the end of his term. With less than 2 months, he said he cannot afford to waste time and resources to fulfill his promise for a better and more responsive healthcare system across the country.
I assure you that no Filipino will be left behind as we steadfastly and collectively work towards a stronger and healthier nation.
The government is finalizing the details on its donation of COVID-19 vaccine to Myanmar. The Department of Health, or DOH, said it is just awaiting clearances from the Commission on Audit and the Department of Budget and Management before it could proceed with the donation. The donation will consist of over 5 million doses of Sputnik V COVID-19 vaccine. Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergeire earlier confirmed that meeting between the Myanmar National Red Cross and the concerned government agencies was held, and that processes and legal instruments were discussed in preparation for the donation. More lawmakers and an animal rights group agreed for the stoppage of isabong operations in the country. The details from William Theo.
President Rodrigo Duterte's order to stop the isabong operations in the country is an affirmation of the Filipino values that keep the country strong. This is according to Taguig Pateros Representative Alan Peter Cayetano as he lauds the president's decision to immediately terminate isabong. He said the move solidifies his position that the activity is harmful to the people and the nation. Senator Francis Tolentino also agreed with the decision of the president to end isabong. In an interview, he said he was glad the word value was mentioned by the president, such that if ever someone eventually pushes for a bill to resume isabong operations, it should be in line with Filipino values. Tolentino also urged the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas to order the removal of the online cockfighting feature from existing e-wallet applications. The International Animal Rights Group called People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, or PETA, also lauds the decision of President Duterte. In a statement, PETA Senior Vice President Jason Baker said commends President Rodrigo Duterte's decision to order the immediate termination of isabong in the Philippines. He also said cockfighting is a blood sport that inflicts suffering and cruelty on animals. For the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo.
The next administration will reap the benefits of major economic reforms legislated under the Duterte administration. Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez made the announcement as he cited the key economic reforms that were recently passed, such as the amendments on Retail Trade Liberalization Act, Foreign Investment Act, and Public Service Act that target to attract more foreign investors. He also mentioned the ease of doing business law and the corporate recovery and tax incentives for enterprises, or CREATE law, that aims to improve the country's business climate. People's Television Network, or PTV, has taken news dissemination for the elections up a notch. This as it goes on air for an integrated simulcast nationwide with other government networks starting Monday. PTV is the government media's largest and most comprehensive coverage for the national and local elections. With more than 200 government reporters deployed across the country, PTV aims for a clean, honest, and violence-free election. It joined forces with Philippine Information Agency, Philippine Broadcasting Service Bureau of Broadcast Services, Philippine News Agency, and Intercontinental Broadcasting Corporation or IBC. The network also partnered with Systems Technology Institute or STI as its sole technology provider. PTV will also cover the transparency servers at the Parish Pastoral Council for Responsible Voting at the University of Santo Tomas, as well as the live canvassing of ballots at the COMELEC to ensure a fair and fraud-free elections. More stories from the newsroom. The DSWD warns the public against fake recruiters for the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program. And the Department of Tourism plans to make the Philippines a leading medical tourism destination. Details ahead, stay with the PNA Newsroom.
Paulo Medjones po para sa kampanyang Disiplina Muna na pinangungunahan ng DILG. Bakit ba kailangan magparehistro sa pagpapabakuna laban sa COVID-19? Mahalaga magparehistro dahil ito ang unang step sa pagpapabakuna laban sa COVID-19. May 3 pamamaraan upang makapagrehistro ang isang Pilipino na nais mabakunahan. Una, ang online registration sa inyong local government unit o LGU. Pangalawa, ang pagpunta sa mga vaccination centers at pagkuha ng registration form. At pakikipag-ugnayan sa mga pinuno ng barangay o sa mga barangay health center. Tandaan, online, sa mga vaccination site o sa mga barangay health centers ang pagpaparehistro sa pagpapabakuna kontra COVID-19. Muli ako po si Paulo Medjones, Disiplina Muna Ambassador na nagpapaalala, huwag matakot magpabakuna. Bida ang may disiplina. Magparehistro at magpabakuna para ligtas ang pamilya, ligtas ang bayan. Disiplinadong Pilipino ay rehistrado para maging bakunado.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development in Davao Region has warned the public against persons recruiting people for inclusion in the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program or 4Ps. The DSWD said it has received reports that certain persons wearing DSWD red vests are allegedly asking non-4Ps members to provide their birth certificates with a promise to be included in the program. These individuals are also issuing school certifications to 4Ps beneficiaries to lure them into giving their cash card account numbers. The DSWD urged the public to refrain from giving personal information to others, which may compromise one's security. It clarified there is no ongoing registration of additional 4Ps beneficiaries. Only those households assessed as poor in the listahan database are qualified to be 4Ps beneficiaries. The Cordillera Police have arrested a total of 44 persons and destroyed 51 million pesos worth of illegal drugs from April 4 to 30 as part of Oplan Summertime. The Police Regional Office Cordillera said the personalities were arrested by different police units all over the region. 17 of them were listed as high-value targets, while 27 were listed as street-level individuals. Police also seized 49 grams of shabu, as well as marijuana plants, seedlings, and byproducts in anti-drug operations. Oplan Summertime is a series of manhunt operations against wanted personalities who were spending Lent and summer vacation in the Cordillera. The Bacolod City Police Office has opened a surrender desk for communist rebels who want to return to the fold of the law. The surrender desk is part of Project Taped or Table for Peace, a task force to end local communist armed conflict initiative that promotes peace, development, and reconciliation. The term tape also means to secure, cordon, and isolate Bacolod from the deception, recruitment, and atrocities of the communist terrorist groups. The Bacolod Police previously helped facilitate the surrender of a young couple who were former CPP-NPA combatants from Hinubaan, Negros Occidental. Project TAPE will be conducted daily through massive and intensified information operation, public awareness, and community engagement activities. In sports, the Philippine Basketball Association announced its plans to open its doors for expansion and add to the league's number of teams. PBA Board of Governors Chair Ricky Vargas said he proposed the idea as the PBA is bouncing back financially from the losses it had at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Vargas said the board approved the plan for a 14-team league as it is easier to manage instead of only 13. The interest appeared after Converge bought the Alaska Aces franchise. The team will be known as the Fiber Xers starting the next season, which will open on June 5. The PBA's last expansion came in 2014 when it welcomed Blackwater and Terra Firma prior to the 2015 season. A third team, NLEX, also came in after buying the franchise relinquished by Air 21, making the league a 12-team field. The Department of Tourism plans to boost medical tourism and make the Philippines a popular health and wellness destination. Tourism Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat said the pandemic has brought into light the importance of medical travel and wellness tourism. She said with world-class hospitals and facilities, skilled doctors and nurses, and the Filipino brand of hospitality, the Philippines is poised to become an attractive destination. A recent report at the World Travel and Tourism Council stated that international spending on medical tourism reached $11 billion in 2017 alone, with the United States as the largest destination market. The U.S. was also the world's leading inbound and outbound market, with American citizens spending around $2.3 billion on medical services abroad. DOT's Medical Health and Wellness Tourism Program is currently headed by newly appointed Director Paulo Benito Tugbang. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. The country noted an increase in the inflation rate in April. Defense Secretary Delphine Lorenzana says they are not seeing any form of violence during and after elections. President Rodrigo Duterte promised to strengthen the country's healthcare system until the end of his term. And People's Television Network, or PTV, partners with other government networks for an integrated simulcast nationwide on Monday. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear face masks and face shields, wash your hands often, practice safe physical distancing, go out only for essential reasons, and get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. You may also watch us on television on PTV4 and the IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. We tell stories that inspire change. I'm Marita Muaje. Stay safe and have a good day.